Madam. Welcome on board to this MLA community happy sharing session. And we would like you to thank to come here and join us. And so for all the viewers and for all the MLA community members, so Adam is like self-taught programmer. He's a good, what you say, like a famous educator at YouTube. He has a lot of good courses in Udemy, especially the Keras ones or something in the machine learning side are quite good. Okay, so today we have and Adam, and we are like here to discuss about his journey and like what we can learn from him, right? So Adam, up to you.
Well, that was quite the introduction. Let's get started. What questions do you have?
Yeah. So first thing is like as like if anyone goes to your profile, you say that you are self-taught programmer, right? So like in India, like people who get into bachelors like BTech or bachelors in technology side, either from the computer science or some other domain, they try to learn the programming languages. So let's start with the programming languages things. Okay, and they go for all these Udemy courses, they go for all these YouTube, and they go for all kind of blogs and everything, right? So what is your recommendation if someone needs to start learning a language? Okay, for example, in this case, maybe Python. Okay, what will be your recommended approach for a new one?
Well, so with something as big as Python, there are obviously going to be a lot of resources out there. So the key is just going to be what resources work best with my time constraints, and what resources are going to be like of the highest quality. So you want videos that are in very high quality from like the most knowledgeable people possible, because they're going to give you a lot of just little details that are going to add up over time and make you understand whatever you're learning a lot better.
Okay, got it. And when it comes to the learning based on videos and there are different kind of practices, right? One can go through kind of articles, kind of videos, and one is a guy who is stick to the books and they are basically practicing those things. So what
Mhm.
is your recommended way? So if someone is watching your course, right, or maybe going ahead with your videos, what do you recommend to do after to utilize the full learning actually?
Um, I guess it really just depends on your learning style, what works best for you. I found video tutorials to be the best, but a lot of times I just need to copy and paste a bit of code and then understand it later. And that's where I'd say like text tutorials on blogs work the best.
Okay, got it. On recently, I see that in videos also we have options where maybe you can pause it and you can try the same thing in parallel, right? So I think that could be the reason people have started creating videos where you can basically pretty much try the same things at
Mhm.
basis. Great. So one more thing, like if I go through your YouTube channel, pretty much the latest videos or everything is on the Keras side, right? So,
Yes.
why you have chosen Keras? That's my first question. Like, why not TensorFlow, PyTorch, or something else?
Okay, so well, I first found out about Keras from the creator of Keras, Francois Cholet. He has a really good Twitter page, posts a lot of opinions about machine learning and even like politics and just ideas in general. And started using Keras, I realized that it was really easy to build like real world machine learning applications, a lot easier than what I've used in TensorFlow or PyTorch. Although Keras is built with TensorFlow backend, so I guess the two are sort of related. But I just found like all the concepts were boiled down really simply, and it was just the quickest way to build machine learning and deep learning models.
Okay. So, if someone is starting in machine learning side, what you will recommend? Like if I talk about myself, when I started using scikit-learn and then moved to the deep learning side of things. So so what do you recommend? Going through the machine learning basics is will be a right kind of this thing, or we can directly jump into deep learning solutions?
Well, I mean, for me, the way that I learn things is I don't really learn a subject. It's more like learning how to solve a problem. So if you want to like create some project or solve some problem,
Mhm.
you what you want to do is do research on it first, and then see, okay, this works really, really well for a neural network, so I should learn deep learning. Or, I can do this fine just with linear regression or, k nearest neighbors, so I'm going to do that. That's how I would approach it.
Got it. So basically, you're saying focus on the problem statement and then go ahead and explore on that side, right? Great, great.
Mhm.
Like, what led you to the machine learning or data science side? Like, what was your journey? Why you are in this domain, not in something else? Yeah.
Um, let's see. I started programming in like middle schoolish, and I always really, really enjoyed it. And then later, I kept on reading and seeing all these things about machine learning this, and I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. I wonder if I can create my own. And so that's sort of how the learning process started.
Okay. So in this process, do you explore any other things also? Like if I see like bitcoins, okay, or blockchains, right? So
Hmm.
those topics are also a kind of a buzzword. Like if you see, like it's there from last 5 to 7 years, right? So those topics have not attracted you that much that you're not tried, or what's your take on this?
Um, well, I have tried blockchains, but I couldn't really get that into like the math. And I feel like blockchain, like it's just a blockchain algorithm and then various variations. But with deep learning, I mean, you have new papers coming out every single week, and I feel like the crypto bubble has already kind of burst, but the ML hype is still going.
Right, right. That is true. Yeah. So as you discussed about the math, so what do you think that like if someone wants to succeed in machine learning side or deep learning side, or maybe in generic word AI and data science side, uh, do you feel or do you see that maths is quite important, or if someone is not from the maths major or not having good in maths can also do better here in this domain?
I mean, again, I think it really depends on what type of problem you're trying to solve. If you're really trying to solve a problem to like a very high level capability, then I mean, you're probably going to want to understand the math because then you'll understand the potential pitfalls of the algorithm that you're using. But if
Mhm.
you just want like a quick solution to something, then there's no problem in just, sort of skipping the math step, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. So, like for the beginners, so what will be your recommendation? Like, if a student is trying to understand the deep learning or going through your videos, right? So,
Hmm.
you recommend them to go deep into all those formulas, all those architecture level calls, or do you want to be recommend them to be on the So, like, suppose someone is not having a specific problem to solve. Okay, he's taking your course or reading this about just to learn, right? So, in that
Hmm.
case, like in initial learning phase, going deep into the math is the right approach or not?
Again, I think it really depends on the person. If you're genuinely interested in math, then there shouldn't be anything keeping you from like pursuing that side of things. But if you really just want to get stuff done as quickly as possible and then just sort of think of the math later as you get more advanced into deep learning, there's no problem in that either.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So, if I see as you mentioned, you started with machine learning. So, what was your first machine learning project? Anything you can think of?
Yeah. So I started with like Google has a little series where they have like a guy who explains different machine learning concepts. And so it was using scikit-learn, and you basically like predicted if it was like an apple or an orange based on its texture and based on its size and or weight in grams. And then I like applied that to other things, like see if I could do it with animals, and then I just like played around with that. So I'd say that's like my first machine learning project.
Great, great. Great. And if you see the journey, like as you teach machine learning nowadays, and you are quite famous in this domain, right? So,
Mhm.
what you see that, like in terms of the research work, so as one thing is the learning, one thing is creating something new, maybe some kind of a modification in the current algorithm. Okay.
Mhm.
Do you have some exposure to those things also, where you have contributed something new in this domain?
One of my goals was actually to publish in the field. I don't know if that's going to happen at this point, but I definitely I do enjoy reading like the papers that come out of the field because there's so much new stuff like every day, and it's just kind of fun to keep track with. Definitely in the future, I'll try to contribute something new instead of just implementing other people's work.
Great. Great. And what about what is your favorite programming language?
Uh, Definitely Python.
Python. Okay. So many of the times, as I come from the industry background, I see that when we have a huge volume of data, sometimes it's difficult to basically handle all those kind of data in the Python data frames. Okay. And then we need to move to either PySpark or Scala to basically take care of that kind of a big data.
Mhm.
So, do you recommend anything, like what will be the right way to deal with huge volume of data if I need to run maybe some kind of a deep learning job, but my data is quite huge. So,
Yeah.
what you will recommend in that case?
To be honest, I don't think I've ever worked with a data set large enough where like that's been a problem.
Mhm.
And I do know Scala is very good for dealing with large data sets, but like I've never really had a need to go deep into that.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Now coming back to the as like when we build some model, we need to take it to the production also, right? So
Mm,
TensorFlow has TensorFlow serving, right?
yeah.
So do we have something in Kera's side of word also, or like how to go ahead and if you need to deploy something?
Yeah, I mean, there's like you can just do model.save and
Mm.
then that'll save your model as an H5 file and then you can just import that later. So it's a lot easier than one would expect.
Okay, got it, got it. And in this case, when we say that when we are saving the model, actually, okay, and I'm just taking a hypothetical scenario where maybe I have a kind of server where I need to expose a prediction service where this particular model will run, or maybe I want to showcase my model in such a way that a website is there, and that is basically uh, calling this particular prediction method from UI. You're getting a call to middleware, and then you're calling the prediction service. Okay,
Hmm.
so you're saying that in this prediction service, I can basically load the saved model, right? That is
Hmm.
okay. Got it. Got it. So, I think if I go through my ML AI community questions, which I got from different kind of students in India, they will be primarily focused on uh, like when I get a problem, what should be my first approach or philosophy to basically approach that problem? So, for example, maybe if I want to start on a project called maybe I want to determine the condition of roads. Okay, right? It's a computer vision problem, right?
Hmm.
So now I want to basically detect that it has potholes or not, or maybe the it is wider enough or not, right? How much is the traffic in this particular road and all those things, right? So
Hmm.
if you say this problem, where people are getting stuck, at least as a beginner level, they don't know how to formulate a problem, right? So, can you tell us your philosophy when you get a problem? How what mind map you build and how you go ahead?
Well, like one thing to make sure that I'm approaching the problem the right way is to read research because research is just people who have very complex problems and then they find unique ways to solve it. So when you're just reading that over and over and over again, you can be like, oh, this problem's kind of like the problem that I had, and you can just deploy it there. If you need to do that organically, like you have no idea how someone else would even go about doing this, I would say the best way is just to see if you can do like a simple version first, and then see if you can make it a little more advanced, and then a little more advanced, and then keep on going up until you get a workable model.
Great. That's great. And I think a few of the website offers this kind of research also. I think one of my favorite is Paper with Code, where I can go ahead and check out the latest research and get the
Hmm.
paper.
Hmm.
So this lead me to the next question, where I would like to know, like, is there any kind of special resources or the resources available on internet which you like? Any kind of website? Uh, like definitely your course is the first one. Yeah. Anything you can suggest?
Yeah. Um, I really like a lot of the Medium blogs that they have on doing this type of thing. That those are really cool. Papers, of course, Papers with Code, another resource.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Generally, if I want to do something, I look that up and then I'll find a resource specific to that that has it. So it could end up being a YouTube video or an article or a Stack Overflow post, but I almost always find something that suits my needs.
Got it. Got it. And like, how's your day looks like you how you plan your day? Because I know that uh, uh, doing all these experiments, creating videos, that takes a lot of time, and you are quite good instructor at Udemy also, right? So I've seen,
Mhm.
like, I've taken few of your courses also. So how you get time to manage all those things?
Basically, if I have an opportunity where I have like a couple free hours or maybe even like a free day, if it's like a holiday or something, then I just use it. I just try not to waste it. That's really all it is.
Okay. Any of the current things, any current courses or anything cooking up?
Okay. I have a lot of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of them I've implemented very slightly. I don't know which ones are going to come fully into production.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to work on a programming course that's aimed towards younger kids and
Mm-hmm.
work with like some animation with that, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
Um, Also, I'm trying to, do you know the YouTube channel Jabril's?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have some videos coming up that are kind of in his style of like it's AI focused, but it's mainly for entertainment and not actually like learning about AI. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, that
It's
style.
quite fun, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's fun for AI researchers to watch something like that.
I'm not getting the name, but there is a group which publishes all these kind of cartoons or visuals also for the AI, and I
Hmm.
pretty much get in my email on daily basis, and those are also quite good. So AI with fun is like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. So now coming back to the way, as I see that you started coding like in very early, right? So I think you're famous for that, right? So
Yeah.
what do you think that starting coding early is a it's a like a thing you are basically becoming ahead in the game, or if someone start coding later in the life, okay, maybe in the graduation times, uh, do you think that he can still pick it up and basically bridge the gap, or that all depends upon the person?
I think you can easily pick up coding at any age. It's not like a language where it's like it's really easy to do it when you're young and then you kind of lose it. It's really like any other subject where you can just pick it back up. It might work better if you're more a mathematical person or something, but overall any age there shouldn't be too much of a problem picking it up.
Got it, got it, got it. Yeah. Now the thing is, we also get kind of questions like, okay, like, do I need to start with Python or R or something else? Okay, so I know that Python is basically pretty much hot right now. There are researchers, or there are people in data science who deal with R. Okay, I know that you also like Python. So
Yeah.
just wanted to know, like, if someone is like unbiased and he doesn't know Python or anything, okay. So do you recommend him to explore these two and then decide, or do you say that, okay, going with Python or R is?
Mm. Well, sort of going back to the first questions where I was talking about like the best way to learn is to find the best resources. Just
Mhm.
because a lot more people are going to be using Python, there's going to be a lot more Python resources. So
Or-
it's going to be easier for you to learn. There's going to be more Stack Overflow questions that are going to like answer any problems that you have, more tutorials. So I think that'll just make the learning process a lot easier.
All right, that makes sense. Yeah, great. Uh, Now, if someone is starting a project, right, and that project is maybe kind of a which is using something from the CNN side or RNN side. Okay, so what happens is like if you need to manage that particular project. So, for example, if a team of 3 4 people are working on that, maybe someone is working on the data collection part, someone is working on the data pre-processing, and like someone is working on the core modeling part, right? So if we have that kind of a team, okay, then what uh, the problems which we face is like it becomes difficult to manage the whole project. So do you manage the project means like how the documentation should flow, how will track the progress of this? Okay, so do you have any recommendation on this front, that what should be the right approach to basically have a right collaboration also, and making sure everyone is aware of what's the progress, and like managing it well? Any suggestions on these lines?
Yeah, I think what you're getting into is more just like project management methodology.
Mhm.
So I think certain tools like Scrum or Agile can help. The problem with those tools is that sometimes you want to spend as little time documenting your code and as much time like actually writing it.
Mhm.
So if there's just any sort of communication, like if this group of people, let's say they like live close to each other, they can meet daily, it'd be better just to like knock that out of the way in person. And if they live further apart, just like send quick texts and like a group chat to each other saying, hey, this is what I did, this is what I need to fix, stuff like that.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. So in that case, if I see the engineering projects and the data science project, many times when you start with a kind of a hypothesis, for example, if I want to solve something, I'll assume that, okay, if I, if I apply this kind of a model, maybe I will expect this kind of results, right? But
Mm.
uh, if that is not happening, and if that goes for a toss, so if you're getting good accuracy, good predictions in your training data, but not in the test data, okay. So what will be your first reaction? Do you feel frustrated if you're not getting better results on test data, or like how to deal with this?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very frustrating. Um, my main solutions have just been like hyperparameter optimization, which is just like brute forcing. I honestly don't know if there's a more intelligent way to go about it, but like that's to the best of my ability. That's how I solve those things.
Great, great. And if you see this tuning and choosing right kind of algorithms in cloud side, cloud vendors like Amazon, as Microsoft and Google, they have AutoML solutions also, where you can
Mm.
pretty much define your problems, and it will run variety of modelings on that. Okay, and then you'll choose which works well. Okay, so if you need to see that. The human way of modeling or approaching a problem, okay, and if you need to compare with the automl side of world, right? So what will be your recommendation? What will be the pros and cons of going with automl, and what do you think, what is the future?
Mm. Well, so the reason that auto ML products are being created is because use AI, then there are people who could possibly make the AI. So people who are using auto ML, they know that it's not going to be as good as like an actual person,
Mhm.
especially at the moment. So they're kind of just saying, well, this AI is better than no AI.
Okay,
So I think on the whole, humans are better at making AI, but I mean, AI has been beating humans at a lot of things recently, so that could change in the future.
got it, got it. So basically automl, your take is it's better than no ai for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm actually working on an auto ML project right now, and just sort of seeing that process of saying, okay, can I use AI to make AI? And it's been a really interesting challenge, and I don't think we're quite there where like a human can't do it as well as an AI.
Got it, got it, got it. Now, I see few of the statements, and especially in the medium blocks, people say that use AutoML solutions as a benchmark, where you'll say that, okay, I will define this as a baseline. And if I am working on this problem as a data scientist, I need to perform better than this. So do you
Mhm.
think defining using AutoML to define the baseline or a kind of a benchmark is right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's about what AutoML should be seen as, because it's just a quick strap solution together. You're saying, okay, now can I use my data science skills to improve this past the point that would just be, random light optimization tuning.
Got it, got it. Sure. So now, as we have pretty much covered on the AutoML side, also on the Keras and these things,
Hmm.
one other article I was going through where it was talking about the deep learning side of toolkits. So, for example, you have Piano, Cafe, and TensorFlow, PyTorch, and Keras. Uh,
Hmm.
right now, if you see these things like the piano and cafe, all these things are nowhere in the picture actually. People are either focusing on TensorFlow, Keras, and like PyTorch, right?
Hmm.
So if you need to compare, because I know that TensorFlow and Keras are coming from the same line of things. Keras uses backend as TensorFlow itself. So
Yeah.
if I need to compare Keras with PyTorch, okay,
Hmm.
so, do you have any kind of experience or anything which you can recommend? Which one will work in what kind of scenarios or anything on that line?
Yeah. I mean, we have to understand ultimately is that software, they're just tools.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing is the problem that you're solving. So like if you're working on something in your house, it doesn't matter what brand of hammer you
Mm-hmm.
have, it just matters that you nail it in. So some people might like, the grip on one hammer over another, or the way that it's shaped or looks, but ultimately it's about if you can put in the nail.
Yeah, that's quite a good explanation of it. Yeah, great. So, anything specific you would like to share with like students? Any of the learnings you want to share with our students, which can benefit them?
I would say just keep working at it. I know deep learning can have a very steep learning curve, as with most things, and just
Mhm.
just don't give up.
Okay, great. Few of the like a student dropped me a message that what happens is when they go ahead and they learn about RNNs or CNNs in the deep learning space,
Mhm.
uh, uh, it looks good in videos but when they see all those pictures of all these layers and this dense layer and this thing is coming and then final we are applying maybe some kind of sigmoid or something to basically come up with something, right? So when they see
Mhm.
this particular diagram, especially in medium blocks and all, okay, they
Mhm.
get scared at that time. Okay, and
Yep.
because usually it takes only just 3-4 lines of code in TensorFlow or Keras to basically produce all those things, but it
Mhm.
looks very scary that okay, I was having this big matrix and it is following all this, right? So
Mhm.
uh, uh, do you have kind of a suggestion how to look forward and not to get scared from all these layers? Any suggestions on that part?
Yeah. You really just got to take it piece by piece. So something that, because I was aware of this when I was creating my Keras course. So what I did is first I was like, okay, here we're doing linear regression, which if you think of it is just like y equals mx plus b, which
Mhm,
is like a simple math equation that we all learn, that we
mhm,
all learn. And
mhm.
then you just sort of build on that. You're like, see, look, that's one layer. Now let's add some more layers. Now let's do this with the layers. And so you get from just like a simple equation, y equals mx plus b, all the way to like a recurrent neural network or an LSTM, which really helps like ease the learner into that.
Got it. So basically, you can say that these linear regression model, you can assume that it's a kind of one layer neural network or no layer neural network kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that makes sense because that way, what will happen is people will not fear from this. They will know that okay, yeah, this line equation is quite easy, and Why not do one?
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, like if you see this Keras course that you've created, right? So,
Hmm.
do you have any kind of assignments also which you give to a student to try it out, or what is like? Say, if someone has learned Keras from your YouTube channel or from your Udemy course, right? So,
Hmm.
what do you recommend next? Doing some kind of project or submitting somewhere, or what's the next step?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is that you should say, okay, I want to learn machine learning because I want to do this with it. And so then you learn machine learning, and then now it's time to actually build that project that you wanted to use machine learning on. So I think just going like a project based, you'll find that you end up encountering like a wide variety of different topics, and without even really trying to, like, there's nothing. I feel like when you make it more academic, then it feels kind of stressful. Like, oh yeah, like this online test that I have to take or whatever to pass. But if you're like learning on accident almost if you're taking a project-based approach because you're going through so many different articles and podcasts or videos to solve this one specific problem, and then
Mhm.
you end up learning a lot along the way.
Great, great. Sure. Sure. So, man, I think I'm pretty much done with my questions, and I really loved your answers, and it was actually thoughtful. Okay, and
Mhm.
like I'm quite sure that that will be quite useful for my MLA community student. And this is a kind
Mhm.
of a special series we just started. We are calling
Okay.
Happy Sharing Series. We are
Okay.
calling great researchers, great educators like you to be
Hmm.
part of this. And the overall objective is like this community is built on the concept of where in India we have a lot of good colleges, like we have IITs, triple ITs, and ITs.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. I heard of them.
Yeah. So, Acha, you've been to India on these colleges? Any of?
No, but like I've heard of IIT, NIT, all
Right.
those.
So yeah. So I also came from a background from IIT itself. I'm from IIT Guwahati, and
Mhm.
what I realized is like people are becoming good in the theoretical sense, okay, but they're not able to apply those things in practicals, okay. And
Okay.
there I see that the courses, like the way you have explained, especially like when you mentioned about the linear regression part, right? I see that
Hmm.
you show the code also, right? And if someone is interested enough, and if they go ahead and try those things in their laptops, right, or maybe
Yeah.
Google or something, definitely
Yeah.
things that you'll get an idea of hands-on practice also on this, okay.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
the major point where, and that is the basically the reason for this particular platform is many times the students are getting like confused when they know that they have seen a housing prediction problem. They will
Hmm.
be quite good if you ask them how to predict the price of a house. They will be
Yeah.
very, okay. But if you
Yeah.
change the problem statement, in fact, they will be actually not very comfortable when you change the problem statement, and it's using the same regression model. Okay, you can apply the
Okay.
same regression model, but now
Yeah.
it doesn't talk about house pricing and all those things. Okay, so
Yeah.
there I see the gap that the right kind of intuition is not getting built. Okay,
Hmm.
like how to approach a problem, and I
Yeah.
think in those scenarios, like all these kind of interviews or the learnings at MLAI community can help. Yeah. So thanks for joining. Great talking with you. Thanks for
Hmm.
your time. And like our motto is keep learning, keep sharing. And thanks
Yep.
for sharing all these great views. We'll definitely in touch with you. We'll keep you posted
All
on
right.
the progress of the community. Thanks
All
a
right. Thank you.
lot from the community side. Yeah. Bye bye.
All right. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.